morning, everybody. Welcome to the first day of Vlogmas. So it is currently 20 to 9 in the morning. I am driving, but I am keeping my eyes on the road in terms of, driving. And I just wanted to come on and quickly say hello, good morning, and really just talk about what's going on. So I am heading to work. I do apologize if the volume of the car is really loud and you hear a lot of squeaking. This car is a little old, most of you may know. So yeah, anyway, today I am going through, I'm halfway through this book right now. I started it yesterday on November 30th. It is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. This is Brandie's book club read for November, and I'm very late to the game on this one because I had a really bad kind of reading slumpy kind of thing almost. It wasn't exactly a slump. It was mostly me getting used to the first month of being in my new job, and so it's been me trying a lot to find the time to sit and read more. I tend to listen to audiobooks on my drive, which is about 20-ish minutes to and from work, and I also tend to listen about an hour's worth when I drive home during my lunch to take care of Oscar. So The Firekeeper's Daughter is really good so far. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it. And one of the things I didn't really know about this is that the author herself is actually a Chippewa Native American, which that is the line of Native Americans my family descends from. I don't really know anything in terms of whether or not I would even be considered part of the tribe, because I think that my native blood is way too diluted for it to qualify as being able to be part of the tribe. But my entire life, my grandmother had said that we were from the Chippewa tribe, which is part of the Ojibwe tribe. And this book basically follows a 18-year-old young woman who is from the Chippewa tribe. She is half native from her father's side, and basically you find out at the very beginning of the book her uncle had unfortunately passed away a year prior, and there was a lot of mystery surrounding around it. There was thought that he might have overdosed on meth, and then unfortunately her best friend is murdered by her best friend's ex-boyfriend, and it's found out that he was a drug dealer and meth addict and all these things, and there's things going on within their small town of Sault Ste. Marie. Well, it was not really so much a small town. It's a small town compared to most other cities in Michigan. But Sault Ste. Marie is basically one of the most highest points in the UP in terms of it being the closest to Canada. It actually, when you go to Sault Ste. Marie and you go to the water, which essentially is part of Lake Superior, you can actually see Canada, probably not quite 100 yards away, maybe a couple hundred yards away. My husband and I actually went to Sault Ste. Marie for a short time on our honeymoon. We went and visited it for part of the day, and it was beautiful, and being able to see Canada that close was actually really interesting. There is up there what's called the Soo Locks, which basically is a area where ships go to and from. There's a strait that's basically separating Canada from the US, where essentially it was a trade strait where hundreds of years ago and continuing since then, it's been used where ships can come in and drop off things in Canada and then also in the US, stuff like that. So essentially the whole point of the story though is that it takes place in Sault Ste. Marie and also on this island that is just off the coast of where Sault Ste. Marie is, which is called Sugar Island. And Sugar Island is apparently a very well-known island that is inhabited by people who are from the Ojibwe tribe. Because if you're not familiar, the Ojibwe tribe typically is in the Midwest and in parts of Canada. So this is pretty much prime territory for them. And like I said, the author herself is part of the Chippewa tribe. This is a story where it is documenting in a lot of ways some of the culture and the traditions that are involved in the native tribe, which I have never known about. Because unfortunately, although my grandmother has told me many times that we are from the Chippewa tribe and that her father, her biological father, was native, we did not really get any of that traditional stuff growing up because my grandmother was unfortunately separated from her father by her mother's choice, and my grandmother disdains her biological father even though he's been dead now for many years. basically all I really know about him is that when my great-grandmother was pregnant for my grandmother, my great-grandfather was an alcoholic, abusive person, and he had, while my great-grandmother was still pregnant, tossed her down the stairs, and she basically left him. And she had some like ideas of things that the natives would do that, you know, she could kind of pass on to my grandmother. Like, there's certain things that my grandmother's learned over the course of time in terms of some very well established native thoughts and beliefs and spirituality based things. But this is a story that I would love to give to her, just to try to read and like see what she can, you know, pick out from it that maybe her mother taught her, that she had learned from her biological father, all these things. And like, I don't know, it was just really interesting. It's been interesting to read this from somebody who is so far removed from her ancestry and so far removed from the heritage that is bestowed upon me. People, when they look at me, they don't even really notice that there are native traits. I've talked about this many times before, where I don't really have many of the native traits. I have the high cheekbones, you know, I have the dark hair, I have the dark eyes. But if you were to look at my grandmother, you can 100% tell has native blood. Like, there is no questioning it that she has native blood in her body because of how she looks, and especially when she was a lot younger, when she was like a teenager and a young adult, how she had all of the traits of somebody who was native. My mom doesn't really have that many things, and neither do either of my uncles. And I think it's because of the fact that like my grandmother obviously had married somebody who was not native, and so not really any of those traits passed down as well as like if she was to have married somebody who was either half like herself or full-blooded like her father was. And so I don't really know much about my heritage. I don't really know much about anything really relating to being native. I mean, like I said, there's some spiritual things that my grandmother has taught me, and some kinds of like little superstitions, if you will, I guess, and some little things here and there. I would love to be able to go to like a powwow at my alma mater, which was Central Michigan University. Because Central Michigan University, if you guys don't know, if you're not from Michigan, it is a university that their mascot is the Chippewa, and they have a huge community of Chippewa natives. There's actually a reservation not far from where the campus is. I don't know where it is. I don't recommend going there, especially if you are not native, because there's all kinds of superstitions surrounding around that. I'd love to be able to go to a powwow, because every fall they at least do 1 or 2 powwows there, and I've never gone, but I do know that when my mom was in college, when she had gone to Central for her undergrad, she had taken my grandmother one time to a powwow, and my grandma said it was really amazing to watch the dances and watch everybody like have this sense of community. And when you go to a powwow, even as somebody who is not like maybe native or doesn't have a lot of native blood, like it's an open thing. Like everybody's invited to go see it, because it's a celebration of culture, of heritage, of, you know, it's a celebration of the life of native people. And there's all kinds of native artists there that are also selling, you know, the things that they make. Like I said, there's dances like all day. It's one of those things where like I would love to go to kind of be embraced in that culture and be embraced in that environment, because it is something I wish I would have had more involvement in when I was younger. But I can't fault my grandmother, because unfortunately she was not given that when she was my age. She was not really given any of that, and she had to really find a lot of that stuff after she became an adult. And she didn't have the ties to her family that she had probably wanted, because she basically like cut herself off from her father. And it's incredibly sad, but it's one of those things where this book has really made me start thinking about how I would really like to try, and I've been trying for years to try to figure out what is the best way for me to figure out more about my own culture, other than just the book research and looking articles up online and stuff like that, and, you know, going to a powwow, like, how do I communicate with somebody who is from the tribe and talk to them about, you know, this whole thing? Like, I want to be more involved. I mean, you guys know I am very spiritual. I am a practicing witch, and I would like to try to incorporate things within my own practice that involve aspects of my heritage, but the problem is I can't do that unless I learn about what those things are and what I am quote unquote allowed to do because of the fact that I'm not a fully native person. Like, for instance, I can't do smudge work. Smudging is a fully native practice. It is something that you have to be trained in. It is something that you have to be seriously enveloped in the culture for. And you can't use things like white sage because it's an indigenous plant that is endangered, and getting white sage is really hard even for the native tribes. So you shouldn't be using it if you're a witch, in my personal opinion, but I can't control what other people do. So if you use white sage and, you know, you think it's fine, like, that's on you. That's not something I'm gonna tell you necessarily that you need to get rid of, because, you know, I don't know your situation, and I also don't know if you're gonna even listen to me, kind of thing. Because, like, I can tell you something about how, you know, you shouldn't be doing something, but are you gonna listen? I don't know. I can't control what you ultimately do. This book is really good, and apparently next year there is a sequel coming out, or some kind of maybe companion novel. I'm not quite sure what it is. I saw it, and it's one of my most anticipated reads for 2023, and it's called Warrior Girl Unearthed, I believe. I think it's supposed to be a direct sequel to The Firekeeper's Daughter, but I'm not 100% sure, but I'm really excited nonetheless, because I've been loving this book so far. Like I said, I'm about halfway through it, and it's really got me thinking a lot about my own ties to my heritage, because this book does talk a lot about the problem of being somebody who is half native and not really quite feeling like you 100% fit in with either side of your family. How within all of that, there is a bit of a kind of colorism and racism that's involved with being in certain communities, even if it's not being in a white community. Like, within any kind of minority, there is some kind of colorism and racism that is involved with people who are half or quarter or anything other than fully blooded in that community. Like, you hear about it quite a bit when you look at actual people from the native and even like Black or Asian communities, where, like, if you're not fully blooded, there is a certain kind of colorism that is involved in those communities, because you're seen as less than for having kind of like, I don't want to say how this is going to sound really bad, but having kind of like a dirty blood kind of thing. Like, think of like how a mudblood is thought of in like Harry Potter, for instance. You know, like that kind of nasty like ism that is involved within that. And it's one of those things where, like, that's gonna only change when the community itself changes, just like racism when it comes to how white people treat various minorities is only going to change when the culture and the community itself changes, which it's been better than it used to be, but there's still a lot of work to be done just from a white perspective. Anyway, I am now at work. I have to go inside because I am getting ready to open up the office and stuff today, so hey guys, good morning. It is going on 9 a.m. I am currently waiting on somebody from my office to come in to let me into the office. And I just updated my Finish Your DNF vlog, and I wanted to let you guys know that I just finished last night the Duchess deal. My thoughts on that are going to be in my Finish Your DNF video, but I initially marked this as 4 stars, and I'm going to be bringing it down to 3 stars because I just realized overnight I didn't like it as much as I thought I did. And I'm right now just starting the Governess game, which is book 2 in the Girl Meets Duke series. Again, I'll be talking about this more in my Finish Your DNF video, but so far I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to continue with this series. It's a little too early for me to DNF this one at this point because I'm only a couple of chapters in, and I like to usually wait until I get about 10% of the way through a book before I decide I'm going to DNF it. So I'm going to give this a little bit more of a chance. But it's just not something I think I am enjoying because of the fact that it's a historical fiction romance, and I don't do well ever with historical fiction romances because I enjoy a romance, but not especially when it is involving a Victorian time where the men are awful and it's just somehow being justified, and it's not fun. So anyway, I just wanted to quickly update you guys on that. I'm going to make a decision whether or not I'm going to continue with this later on, but I see somebody coming in now that is going to let me into the office, so I need to go. But hopefully the Governess game ends up turning out better than it started, because I would like to be able to finish this series if I can, but I don't really know whether or not it's going to hit the way I'm looking for, and I think that if I get to a point where I'm just ready to DNF it, I'm going to DNF it and then call it good. So anyway, I will speak to all you guys later. Okay guys, I'm going to make this quick because the battery on this camera is dying. So last night I did decide to DNF the Governess game. Not really enjoying it. Don't really feel like I'm interested in the rest of the series, especially since they're just companion novels. And I didn't care enough really about any of the side characters to like basically want to continue with them. So unfortunately, that is being a DNF for that series, but I'll talk more about that in my Finish Your DNF video. But the next book I'm going to be working on will hopefully be a lot better, and I'm going to have a separate vlog for because it is part of my Wheel of D20 reads for this month, is The Atlas 6 by Olivie Blake. I have not started this as of yet. I will be starting it later today, though, after my husband heads out with a friend for this evening. So yeah, I'm a little out of breath. I'm trying to like get stuff done before my camera dies, but otherwise, that's going to be what I'm going to be working on today. And so I'll have my thoughts on the Atlas 6 in my Wheel of D20 video, which actually should be going out after this vlog. So be sure to go check that out when it comes out. It should be out on Thursday this week because this will be out on Tuesday. So anyway, I got to go finish up that Finish Your DNF video, so I will speak to all you guys later. Hey guys, so it's going on 3 p.m. right now on Monday, and Oscar just had his very first training day, which was very exciting. Basically, the dog trainer we have is teaching us to use a stimming collar, which is basically a form of conditioning that basically, like, we teach him commands, we stim him, and when he responds to the command properly, he gets like a treat, you know, that kind of thing. So it's very safe for him. It actually doesn't hurt. It kind of just creates like almost like a tapping kind of sensation. And today he did so good with it. I'm very excited to continue with this because the biggest problem we have with him is the fact that he doesn't socialize very well, and we are constantly afraid of him, like, you know, running off and not listening to us when like we see people out on our walks and stuff. But today he did so well because this trainer spent the first 10 minutes talking me through how to use a collar and stuff, and the whole time he was barking and barking and barking because he doesn't like new people. But once we got the collar on him and started teaching him how like to use it and stuff, and started teaching him what the stim is feeling like and all that, he stopped barking, and if anything, he started to want to play with the trainer, which was absolutely awesome. We went out to the backyard and we played around, and he got to do all kinds of fun stuff out there for a little bit so that we could get him used to wearing the collar. And we're only going to really use it when we're going through things like training, and like we're looking to actually get him to listen and train and going on our walks and stuff, and then, you know, stuff like that. So it's not something like he's going to wear like all the time. It's going to be something though that when we go to train him to do certain things, you know, we make sure that he has that on so that he can be properly trained. So that is going to be really interesting for the future. So for right now, though, I'm going to close this vlog out for this week. I have not yet finished the Atlas 6, but I think I'm going to actually be spending most of the day today finishing that up, and it'll be all in my Wheel of D20 vlog for this month, which should actually be going out this coming Thursday. So after this video, that one will be out, and I still have to edit this video as well as my Saturday video, so I don't know how much I'm going to get read of the Atlas 6 today, but if I don't finish it tonight, I should be able to finish it tomorrow, because I'm now 100 pages in, and I only have like 260-ish left, so we shall see. But it's also still pretty early in the day, so I probably could get through a good chunk of it before I decide to start editing and stuff like that. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this first vlog for Vlogmas. Hope you guys are having a good December so far. So far for me, it's going pretty well. I'm very proud of the fact that I got through a couple things already this month, and I'm looking forward to getting through the rest of my TBR for this month, because good Lord, it's going to be quite a bit, and I really would like to be able to get through as much as I can in the next handful of weeks before the end of the year. So if you guys did enjoy this video, though, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you haven't already and you'd like to be and would like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.